Paris Fashion Week, our last look. Now, Meghan, the white on white Messiah gown, or some people call it the toilet paper gown. Then there was the black Diana dress.
They say the crown never slips twice, but oh, in Paris, Meghan Markle didn't just drop hers and she let it tumble, sparkle, and roll away, and no one even bothered to pick it up. Paris, the city of light, fashion, and flawless image, where one wrong move becomes tomorrow's headline. And for Meghan Markle, this wasn't just a bad moment. It was a complete unraveling in front of the world's most critical eyes.
Let's have a look at Meghan Markle being weird and inauthentic. Here she is swanning around like she's Queen Cersei in Game of Thrones. And let's have a look at this rather awkward encounter with Pier Paolo Piccioli.
From the outside, everything looked picture perfect. Cameras flashing, the crowd buzzing, Meghan Markle strutting through Paris in those towering black heels. It was supposed to be her big royal revival. This was meant to scream, "I'm back and I'm still the star." Every hair flip, every smile that looked like it had been rehearsed in the mirror 1,000 times. She was performing, and she wanted everyone to know it. But the thing about Paris, you can't fake real charm. The city knows authenticity from miles away.
And giddy, and people have put those clips side by side of her walking into the event with a black dress on and her walking in with a white dress on, and she does the exact same pose. Her arm is in the same place if you compare the two.
Backstage at Balenciaga, things were different. The air was thick. Stylists, makeup artists, people who usually chatter nonstop, went silent the moment Meghan walked in. It wasn't diva behavior, no, it was something else. One insider said it felt like walking into a storm. Everyone froze. Even the photographers hesitated, unsure of how close to get. The tension was palpable.
Rather awkward encounter with Pier Paolo Piccioli. He's the creative director of Balenciaga.
Outside, the story was all glam. Meghan glowing, confident, commanding attention in every single frame. But inside, the vibe flipped completely. Conversations died mid-sentence. Whispers floated through the room. One stylist murmured, "It's not her attitude, it's her aura. Something feels off, forced, tense." People were literally tiptoeing around her like getting too close might be dangerous. And that's when Paris, the city that worships elegance, started whispering.
Walks in like the exact same walk, and it's almost like that's how she prepared it and that's how she did it. She's like, this is Fashion Week and this is how I have to be.
Usually, editors fight to get selfies or squeeze in for a quote, but this time, they stayed back. Meghan's presence didn't draw people in, it pushed them away. In Paris, authenticity is everything, and everyone there could sense it. Meghan's shine felt manufactured.
Oh yes, that was awkward. Let's have another look at it.
It wasn't just awkward, it was telling. That silent room became a mirror, one that measured her every smile, every move, every flick of her hand. And in Paris, if there's one thing they don't forgive, it's pretense.
Oh yes, that was awkward. Let's have another look at it.
What should have been a grand reunion with fashion's elite? Instead, it felt like a trial. The stares were icy, the whispers were louder than applause. And this was only the beginning. If the room had frozen already, what waited outside would be colder still. Paris had turned its gaze on Meghan, and oh, it wasn't impressed.
Oh yes, that was awkward. Let's have another look at it.
Just when it seemed Meghan might power through that frosty backstage moment, boom! Another scandal burst open. And this one, it had the potential to explode into something way bigger than a fashion faux pas.
Belong there, and you're a mean girl, and no, Fashion Week's not like that.
I think you're...
The brand she was fronting, Balenciaga, had recently faced serious outrage over disturbing imagery involving children. And there was Meghan smiling, posing, radiating humanitarian energy, while representing a brand still tangled in controversy. Oh, the irony wasn't lost on anyone.
Of others, but I think you're right for multiple reasons. I think you're absolutely right that she felt she did not belong there, and she knows.
Fashion editors whispered behind their cameras. Stylists shook their heads. And the internet, it erupted. How can she claim to protect children? One insider asked, while promoting a brand accused of exploiting them. It was the contradiction everyone could see. And the Parisians of all people noticed instantly. This wasn't just about bad optics. It was about credibility. The talk backstage wasn't about couture or style anymore. It was about values. People were side-eyeing each other, whispering about how tone-deaf the whole thing felt. "She's out there posing like nothing happened," one attendee whispered. "It's not confidence, it's delusion." By the end of the night, everything had shifted. Balenciaga's designs? Forgotten. All anyone could talk about was Meghan's obliviousness. Social media blew up. Memes, critiques, outrage. How can a woman who calls herself a protector of children support a brand like this? TikTok and Instagram were merciless. And remember, in Paris, image is everything. One misstep can destroy months of careful planning. And in Meghan's case, whispers of hypocrisy and irony started dominating every conversation. Her big comeback moment was unraveling, and not one person backstage was stepping in to save her. Just when people thought the worst was over, oh no, a new rumor started spreading backstage, something way more personal. And insiders said it spread like wildfire. People started whispering that Meghan's presence wasn't just tense or intimidating, it came with something else, a smell. Several sources described it as a mix of stress and cheap perfume. One person even joked, "You can fix makeup, but you can't fix that." Now, whether that was truth or exaggeration, who knows? But in the world of high fashion, perception is everything. And once that rumor started, it took off like fire. Backstage chatter turned vicious. People started talking more about Meghan herself than the actual fashion show. Editors who normally swoon over celebrities kept their distance. Stylists whispered behind racks of clothes, unsure how to act around her. One insider said, "It's like she carries tension in her footsteps. You feel it before she even speaks." And the irony? Meghan was about to accept an award for being the Humanitarian of the Year for protecting children online. The internet exploded again. Protecting children while posing for Balenciaga? The sarcasm was everywhere. Within hours, clips of the rumors flooded social media, edited over her glamorous poses. Comments ranged from disbelief to full-blown mockery. One viral post read, "She's untouchable." Literally, Paris can forgive arrogance. It can even forgive scandal. But what it can't forgive is when your energy turns people off. By the end of that night, the talk wasn't about Balenciaga anymore. It was all about Meghan Markle, her presence, her tension, her so-called aura. For a woman who's built her brand on charm, grace, and influence, that kind of gossip, deadly. As if the backstage whispers and the aura rumors weren't already setting Paris on fire, the real storm hit once Meghan Markle left the Balenciaga show. And oh, this time, it wasn't about fashion anymore. Word spread that Meghan's car had driven through the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Yes, that tunnel, the very same one where Princess Diana tragically lost her life in 1997. At first, people brushed it off as coincidence. But Paris? Paris never believes in coincidences, especially when it comes to Diana. Insiders, journalists, and even locals began murmuring, "Wait, did she really not know?" Come on. Meghan Markle, the woman who studied every detail of Diana's life, didn't realize what that tunnel symbolized? Please. Social media exploded almost instantly. TikTok edits flooded timelines, splicing Meghan's car rolling through Paris with haunting clips of Diana's final moments, all set to eerie, slowed-down music. The internet was divided. Was it a tribute or a manipulation? Some called it a heartfelt homage. Others said it was disturbing. Parisians, fiercely protective of Diana's memory, were absolutely livid. They called it tone-deaf, disrespectful, even obsessive. Local tabloids tore her apart with headlines like, "The Princess Copycat, Meghan's Dangerous Game in Paris." And internationally, reporters carefully danced around the question, was it intentional or just another PR move gone wrong? Backstage, insiders whispered a darker take, that it wasn't about fashion or fame anymore. "It's about rewriting Diana's story," one fashion editor allegedly said. "It's like Meghan's trying to live out the same tragedy, one carefully staged moment at a time." And that's when Paris turned ice cold, because here, authenticity is sacred. When the camera zoomed in on Meghan's car leaving that tunnel, the city collectively exhaled, and not in admiration. In Paris, every movement is analyzed, every symbol is noticed. One symbolic car ride transformed what could have been a glittering comeback into a full-blown moral debate. People were sickened, outraged. "She's turning Diana's pain into performance," one viral post read. Another comment racked up hundreds of thousands of likes. The woman who says she hates media attention literally recreating Diana's final drive? Make it make sense. The irony was unbearable, because let's not forget, Meghan's entire public persona has been built on her claims of being hunted, harassed, misrepresented. Just like Diana, she's built her identity around being the new Diana, the victim, the misunderstood Duchess. But now, people started asking, If you despise the spotlight so much, why are you literally driving through the world's most tragic paparazzi landmark? And to make things worse, that same network that aired Meghan and Harry's explosive Oprah interview, CBS? Yeah, the very same network that profited off Diana's private suffering. The parallels were impossible to ignore. Meghan's critics pounced. "You condemn the press for exploiting Diana," one commentator said, "but now you're collaborating with the same industry that feeds off her memory?" Every outlet replayed the footage. Meghan lounging in the back seat, calm, composed, smiling, completely unaware of how bad it looked. It wasn't a tribute anymore. It was an accident waiting to go viral. And Paris, the city that defines taste and grace, decided it had seen enough. By the third day of Fashion Week, something had shifted in the air. The buzz around Meghan wasn't admiration, it was avoidance. Designers who once begged for her attention now gave polite smiles from across the room. Front row seats suddenly filled up the moment she arrived, but not with people eager to sit beside her, with people eager to avoid the association. Stylists whispered to each other that PR teams had quietly warned, being seen near her right now, not good optics, and in an industry built on alliances, that kind of quiet exile is the most brutal rejection of all. Social media went wild. Side-by-side posts popped up. Meghan in borrowed Balenciaga next to Rihanna in custom couture. Zendaya glowing in Valentino. Kim Kardashian surrounded by her creative team. The captions were savage. One of these women was invited, the other borrowed it. For a city that worships effortless beauty, Meghan's carefully calculated poses felt try hard. Even fans began to feel that secondhand embarrassment. Paris doesn't reward desperation, it laughs at it. Behind the velvet curtains and flashing cameras, a harsher truth took hold. Paris had turned its back on Meghan Markle. Her borrowed clothes, her empty chair, the polite but distant smiles, they all said the same thing. You don't belong here. And when Paris says that, you listen. Insiders told Page Six that brand meetings she had lined up after Fashion Week suddenly evaporated. No one wanted to risk the association. Balenciaga might have given her a platform, but the fashion world had quietly labeled her untouchable. And not in the glamorous, superstar kind of way. Fashion houses run on cultural capital, and Meghan's, it had just plummeted. One stylist even admitted, nobody wants to take that risk. Not after Paris. Even her loyal fans started to shift. Instagram comments that once overflowed with heart emojis were now laced with sarcasm. Memes mocked her borrowed couture and empty front row energy. Hashtags like #ParisExposed and #borrowed by Meghan trended for days. And the fallout didn't stop at fashion. Hollywood insiders started murmuring that her bankability was fading. If Paris, the city that decides who's in and who's out, had rejected her, what did that mean for her global image? For a woman who's built her entire brand on influence, grace, and power, that silence was deafening. Paris hadn't just turned away from her clothes, it had turned away from her. Her aura, once magnetic, had become radioactive. The charm that used to open doors was suddenly closing them. Meghan Markle, the Duchess who once commanded the spotlight, now found herself standing in it, completely alone. And that's the cruel thing about Paris. It doesn't humiliate you loudly, it simply stops seeing you. The city that once welcomed her glamour now whispered her downfall in quiet corners. Through stylists, editors, PR reps, her name became a warning. Don't get too close. Even her humanitarian work, once her safe haven, was now being questioned. How can she fight for online safety for children, people asked, while collaborating with brands accused of exploiting them? The irony was so thick you could slice it with a knife. Paris had given her everything she wanted, the attention, the cameras, the crowd, but not the respect. And for Meghan Markle, that was the one thing she couldn't control. By the time Fashion Week ended, the message was clear. Paris had looked, judged, and decided. No matter how perfectly she smiled, no matter how flawlessly she posed, the Duchess's illusion had cracked. The city of light had dimmed her spotlight, and there was no one left to pick up that fallen crown.